Well, that was a classic case of classic Villa, wasn't it? As we end Liverpool's losing streak and our winning streak comes to an end in the Premier League as we fell 2-0 at Anfield. And I think most of us could probably see that one coming, couldn't we, through the week with the form we'd been on and the form or lack of form Liverpool had been in. It always felt like Dr. Villa, classic Villa, were going to turn up and get rolled over and have our tummies tickled. And that's exactly what happened in the end. So we'll go through the talking points of Saturday night's action. A disappointing night up in Liverpool, wasn't it? Like I say, it didn't start too badly. I do think the first half hour of that game, Villa played okay. I think I was pretty enthused with what I was seeing. I think we hit the post twice in the first, 20 minutes of the game. Morgan Rogers, who played pretty well on Saturday night, especially in that first half. He cut inside and had a great effort on goal that beat Martinez all ends up, but just struck the post. That was really unlucky. I thought there could have been an offside in the build-up, but I don't think there was at all. But yeah, that was a great strike, and if that goes in, it could have been a very different night, couldn't it? I think Villa probably they had to get to half time, didn't we? We really did. I think that would have put the pressure on. Would have made things difficult for Liverpool, would have built the pressure with the crowd, but it wasn't the case in the end. But it wasn't just Morgan Rogers that struck the post, Matty Cash too. It was more of a cross from Matty Cash, wasn't it, that took a deflection off Virgil van Dijk, I think it was. And again, to be fair, this one, I was critical of Martinez in the lead up to this game, but that was a tremendous save he pulled off there with the deflection to tip it onto the crossbar. And yeah, like I say, that would have been a stroke of luck, but again, these are real fine margins. If Villa do go one up, I feel like when Villa do take a lead, we're pretty solid and we can dig in and grind it out, but it wasn't to be. And I think you have to say Liverpool were well worthy of their victory, wasn't they? We'll try and go a little bit in order. I tend to just talk about things as they come to me, but looking at the lineup, I think it was pretty much exactly as I predicted in the preview. It's not very often I get the lineups right, but as I was saying, I think a strength of Villa's has been in recent weeks that our lineup has been more consistent. We kind of have a more solid starting 11 or starting 9-10 that are pretty much always going to start at the minute. And the man that came in was Evan Gesson for Remy Buendia, who was injured. Luckily, his injury won't be too bad, but I think that was the logical choice. I think with his defensive work, it always seemed the logical choice and always what Unai was going to go with rather than Jadon Sancho. Gesson, I don't think he had a great night at all. To be honest, I think he had a couple of opportunities to break away. His final ball is just lacking. Sometimes he just seems to switch off and doesn't chase things down when he can do and apply pressure on the defender. But frustrating performance from him. Sometimes I'm struggling to see what it is. I'm not seeing any quality whatsoever with him. I'm seeing hard work, determination, tracking back, tackling, which is good traits, but I'm not seeing any quality going forward. But apparently, or what people have been saying, or what I've looked at myself, he did seem to play through the middle a lot more last season when he was playing in France. So maybe he is playing out of position. Is that hampering him a little bit, playing on that right hand side? Potentially so. Could he play through through the middle more? Again, who do you take out for that? Do you take out Watkins and play him up front? That's a different conversation in itself, which we'll get to, but I don't really see that happening either. But, you know, the likes of Sancho, the likes of Daniel Marlon, they will be looking at him thinking, how is this fella starting a lot of games and I'm hardly getting any minutes? It will frustrate them because there is a lack of quality there, in my belief. I hope it comes. Obviously, Villa have seen something in him, but it's not quite there at the minute, isn't it? Is it? And I don't think he was very impressive on Saturday night. But the rest of the lineup, as I say, was pretty much as expected. I think in hindsight, you might looked at it and said, "Oh, this might have been a game for Mings with backs to the wall defending." But Pau Torres has been brilliant in recent weeks, so you can't really, point any fingers at anyone and say, "Oh, Pau Torres shouldn't have started that game." I would have started Pau Torres as well, but we can't really forget Mings was very good last season. We didn't lose a Premier League game that he played. Like I say, and when it's a more backs to the wall performance away from home against the top side, it might still suit to play Tyrone Mings, but obviously he came on in the later stages of the game and pulled up with injury, which is really frustrating. So it looks like he'll be out for a while with a hamstring, so gutted for him. It just seems to keep consistently breaking down now, and you do worry how long has Tyrone Mings got left. Obviously he did sign that new deal in the summer. I think it was just a 1-year extension, was it, or something? So yeah, fingers crossed. I love Tyrone Mings, so hopefully it's not too serious and we do see him back sooner rather than later. But yeah, like I say, the lineup was pretty much what I expected and what I would have gone for myself. But yeah, going back to the game, like I say, before the Martinez horror moment, there was the Ekatike goal, wasn't there? From the cross, it was offside. People calling it a let-off. For me, it wasn't a let-off. I think Villa played that high line. I thought we played it quite well at times again on Saturday night. Played them off a lot, particularly in the second half. I remember playing them offside frequently. So it kind of gives you a full sense of the feeling that you're getting a lot of chances or opportunities, and how the linesman didn't spot it, I have no idea. I mean, I didn't even really flinch when that goal went in. I thought it was clearly offside. I was waiting for the linesman's flag to go up, but it didn't, so it had to go to VAR. Obviously, rightly called it offside with the technology they've got now, but he was way off, really, wasn't he? So I wouldn't really call that a let-off. I think it was just Villa playing the line pretty well. But it was a warning sign, I guess you could say, and, you know, on the stroke of half-time, what was it, in extra time of the first half, added time, sorry, was it the time to be playing out short? Yes, that's what we do. It is our style. But is there a time and a place for it? Yes. Do I think that was the right moment for it? Probably not. But listen, it wasn't. I wouldn't really say that's the playing out from the back. It was just a stray, poor pass from Martinez, wasn't it? It was just. Would you call it a moment of madness, or was it just a? It was just a poorly directed pass, wasn't it? And more assists for Liverpool than Florian Wirtz now, Martinez in the Premier League. So disappointing from him. Obviously, the vultures will be out for Martinez after what happened in the summer with the Manchester United links, or the almost desperation he had to move on. It's not going to take much for people to get on his back, and they are. And I think there's probably a little bit of an overreaction towards it. Look, mistakes are going to happen every now and again. He probably has made too many over the last 18 months. I will admit, I'm not going to jump to his defence too much. I was critical of the summer. Listen, I'll admit when I've kind of changed opinions, but I don't think it's particularly like an issue whether his head's not there, or I don't really fall for that narrative, possibly so, and I understand why people are saying it. I understand why people want to get on his back, but for me, we know he's a quality keeper. It was one of them, you know. It was a poor pass, and that's it. It was disappointing. It was right on the stroke of half time. Like I say, I do think that was a moment just to go long, really, rather than play it short. At that stage of the game, just get to half time. We were under quite a lot of pressure in the last 10 minutes of that half, I would say. So to get to half time would have been a good achievement, and rounded off a decent half. But that really made it a difficult night. And when that one went in, I did say when I was watching with my dad, I said, I don't think there's going to be a way back for us now. Obviously the game's not over at 1-0, but I think the crowd was up. I think the crowd was well behind them. I think they kind of saw this as a real must-win game. They'd put everything on it. Obviously, Slot had rested everyone in the week. It was all on this game, wasn't it? And yeah, it always felt like, well, especially once they got that first goal, it was just going to be one-way traffic. And I think it did turn out that way in the second half. People have been critical of Villa in terms of how we played. We stuck to our guns and played out from the back. We didn't go long. Liverpool have suffered with long balls, haven't they, over recent weeks? That's how other sides have got the better of them. Villa didn't really do it at all, did we? We continued, stuck to our guns, played the way we wanted to play. People will be critical if you change the way you play. People will be critical if you don't. So you can't always win either way. I do think we should have gone longer at times. I think we're great at playing out from the back, but Liverpool were pressing us. It was almost like Jurgen Klopp-like press at times, which I don't think we've seen as much of from an Arne Slot side. But they did press us well, and we were struggling to cope with it, and we didn't look comfortable playing with the ball out from the back. And ultimately, that's kind of how the second goal comes as well. It was a poor pass from Pau Torres this time. A bit of a hopeless ball into the middle of the park. It was cut out, and then they just drive through our midfield, and it deflects off Pau Torres and goes into the back of the net. And you could see Unai was absolutely seething with that goal, especially when you've got the subs lined up, ready to come on, that might be able to change or impact the game when you go 2-0 down at Anfield with 20 minutes left, or however long was left. It's game over, isn't it? So he was seething with that, but it was poor. It was poor from Pau Torres. I think he went off shortly after that. But yeah, to be honest, as good as Kamara has been this season, I absolutely love the bloke. I think he's top class, but the midfield just wasn't there for me on the weekend. That goal was a perfect example of it. They just drove through. No one really closed him down. He almost has a free shot. Yeah, it was an unlucky deflection, but it was a real poor goal for me to concede. It was two gifts from Villa. Yes, we could say we gifted them the game. I think Liverpool were well worthy of their victory. I don't think Villa were really in the game after the first half hour or so. Yes, we could have took the lead, like I say, but Liverpool were well worthy of that victory. I don't think you can sit and say, oh, we just gifted them. Yeah, they didn't pepper us. I don't think there wasn't like chance after chance or Martinez pulling off save after save, but it did feel like they did dominate. But yeah, on another day, Villa get the early goal, and it can look very different, but they had 16 shots to our 9. We had just the 3 shots on targets to their 5. 53% possession of the ball for Liverpool. Villa 4 corners, just to Liverpool's 1. So, yep, we weren't completely out of the game. It just felt like once that first went in, we just weren't going to find a way back into it. But like I say, the midfield just kind of got ran through. We couldn't get John McGinn into the game at all, could we? And I feel like if John McGinn doesn't play well, or we can't get John McGinn into the game, Villa don't tend to play well. I think our best performer probably was Morgan Rogers. He did disappear a bit in the second half, but I thought overall from him was a pretty good performance. Onana was okay. He was getting involved with McAllister, wasn't he? And God, Alexis McAllister, serious case of small man syndrome he's got, doesn't he? When Onana throttled him and he ended up holding his face on the ground. I mean, when you're that tall, when you're that small, obviously Onana's a tall guy as well. He's going to catch an elbow here and there, so he's a little whiner, he is. And then he was celebrating that goal kick like he just scored a hat trick. I mean, he was 2-0 up with about 15-20 minutes left. Like, calm down, mate. I don't know why he's getting so excited, but yeah, Onana, was he lucky to get away with that? I mean, he did have his hands on his neck. You do see people get sent off for that. It was a bit daft, I do agree, but I think if the officials had any sense, they would see what a little whiny moaner McAllister was, and he was bringing that on himself, really, wasn't he? So he probably deserved a bit more, if we're being honest. But so Onana maybe a little bit lucky to get away with that, but we'll take it. Yeah, other than that, we've got to talk about Ollie Watkins as well, haven't we? The goals just aren't coming. And listen, people I said it myself a few weeks ago. I think I said this on Friday in the preview, that you get a lot of people like, well, he'll still score 15 goals. You think, it's November now. He's going to have to go on a hell of a run to get to that. Like, he's going to have to seriously turn around. So I don't see that now. I can still see him getting to maybe around 10, but he does score in in purple patches sometimes. But I don't know. You're asking someone that scored 1 in however many games. I don't know the stats. I'm sure you guys probably know the stats, but it seems like 1 in like 10 or more this season in particular. 1 goal in all comps. Yes, he got 1 for England as well. That just doesn't. I wouldn't say it's going to suddenly turn around and he's going to start absolutely firing them in. I hope he does, but he didn't really have an impact on Saturday. Listen, it was a tough game for him. There was no real chances coming his way, but he's just not there for me at the minute. He was okay against Man City last week, occupied the centre-backs, did okay, but doesn't look like a goal-scoring threat at the minute, does he? I think, to be honest, when the subs came on, I think Ross Barkley did pretty well. I was quite impressed with him. He had an opportunity, didn't he, in the box. A couple of driving runs from midfield that we saw in his younger days, really. Yeah, and I thought he was okay. I was pretty encouraged with his performance. Thought he was one of the better players when he came on. Jadon Sancho too. Again, I like his footwork. When Maatsen came on with him, I like how they link up. Sometimes I do like that dynamic. I think there'll be games where that suits, potentially on Thursday night against Maccabi. But yeah, I was pretty impressed with Sancho. Like I say, Liverpool had stepped off a bit. Villa were allowed a little bit more of the ball to come forward. Marlon had a shot too that drifted wide. So yeah, I think that did coincide with Liverpool taking their foot off the gas a bit, knowing the game was won. But yeah, there's not too much more to say on it. I think from Liverpool's perspective, I think I called it in the preview as well. It almost felt like they were always going to go back to tried and trusted a little bit, wasn't it? They brought Andy Robertson back in. I'd rather they'd have played that stinker of a left back, Kirkes, which they have been doing all season. and maybe Villa would have had more joy. I'm surprised they haven't been playing Robertson. I know he's getting on a bit, but he's still a quality left back and much better than Kirkes. Conor Bradley, who I was a little bit critical of us as well on Friday, he played quite well. In fairness to him, and they just went with that more accustomed defence, didn't they? Especially in the full-back positions, rather than the likes of Frimpong, who's just not a full-back at all. I think he's injured anyway, and Kirkes as well, who just doesn't look comfortable at all in a Liverpool shirt, does he? Gravenberch was back as well, and obviously he got the goal, which, in my opinion, was pretty much an own goal. It was going completely the other direction. But obviously he was going to have an influence for them. And Salah, I think he got was it a record goal, a 250th or something? And of course he was just giving it in typical Villa fashion, just gifted it. So that was frustrating. Ekitike as well was pretty impressive. And Szoboszlai, I think they've been putting him right back at times, haven't they? But he seems to have a lot of time and space on the ball. So Villa will feel frustrated with that performance. It wasn't a great showing for me. It was disappointing. I do think we could have done more. We didn't really lay a glove. Yes, we started off pretty well, like I say, first half hour. We could have made it a different game, but we didn't really put our best foot forward, did we? And we know we're capable of much more. We beat Man City last week, who are, equally as good, if not better, than Liverpool at the minute. So just sometimes when we go away, some of these tepid kind of away performances do worry me, especially when we get to the later rounds of the European competition, or if we potentially get to a one-off final. I hope Villa do what they do best, and we don't kind of put out this kind of tepid display where we're waiting to react to the opposition all the time. Listen, I know at Anfield away you're going to have to do that at times, but similar-ish to Man United at the end of last season, cheap goals, just moments of madness almost. Yeah, it's frustrating. Villa have to iron that out, and sorry guys, that puts us back down to 11th in the table. It's all very, very tight, isn't it? It's a bit of a crazy table at the minute, isn't it? I mean, Arsenal look like the runaway leaders at the minute. Man City won, they beat Bournemouth yesterday, that puts them to 19. Chelsea won, that leapfrogs them up to 17th, back above us, and they're in 6th. We're all the way back down in 11th now. We was above them on Saturday morning, so it just shows how tight it is. I think we all knew this could be the case, and again, if Villa beat Bournemouth next week, it'll look very different again. Like, Bournemouth are still in 4th on 18, and we're 11th on 15, so we could go level on points with them. I still think we'd be behind them on goal difference, but it just shows you can really leap up the table. Tottenham as well, still in 5th place on 17 points. They were really poor against Chelsea. Their fans were booing them heavily. Looks like quite a lot of problems there. Jed Spence and Van der Ven completely ignoring Thomas Frank as they walked off the pitch as well, which very strange considering where they are. I think they suffer a little bit with over-expectation from their fans, who just seem to think they should be competing with Arsenal every season. I don't really understand that. A lot of, like I say, booing your side off. I know it was poor against a local rival, but booing your side off when you sat 5th in the table doesn't seem quite right. So they're not happy with Frank. How long that will last, we don't know. They're not happy at all, are they? So it just shows it's a bit of a mix and match, isn't it? The table at the minute. Newcastle, they lost to West Ham yesterday. They're on 12 points, 3 behind us. You'd have expected them to probably pick up 3 points yesterday. It's still a little bit all over the place, isn't it? Manchester United got held back as well. They were beating Forest, weren't they? And then they went 2-1 down in a matter of minutes and got it back to 2-2 with a good strike through Diallo. So yeah, it's all to play for, and that game against Bournemouth is a massive game. I'm really excited for that. I think it's going to be 2 really good sides going up against each other, and I'd back us to get 3 points. I think at Villa Park, I'd back us to beat almost anyone other than the likes of Palace and when the likes of Arsenal come down, of course. Man City, we've obviously got a great record against, so you always feel confident against them nowadays. And at Villa Park, bring them on, bring absolutely anyone. So Bournemouth, they lost to Man City yesterday, didn't they? Haaland scored a couple of goals, so we're still like the only team he couldn't score a goal against, which is great. but they weren't overly impressive. Listen, when you go to the Etihad, sometimes teams are beat before they go there, and I feel like we're like that when we go to the Etihad sometimes. So I'm not going to judge them too much on that performance. They've been outstanding at the start of this season, so I'm really looking forward to that game. But we'll talk about that as it comes around. Obviously, Thursday night first, with all the drama that the Maccabi Tel Aviv game is going to bring with it. Hopefully the safety of everyone going is the main concern, isn't it, really? And we can focus on matters on the pitch. It'll be an interesting game to watch. Like I say, hopefully there's not too many distractions around it for Villa, and that the team, Unai Emery, can focus on that game without any drama. It's a game we need to win in the Europa League. I think it's an opportunity to make a few changes as well. I'd probably bring Bizot in for that one, and maybe the likes of Sancho. What will happen with Elliott? We saw his Instagram story, didn't we, with the 2 red hearts watching the game. Don't feel like that's a great idea from him. I understand it. I get he's frustrated. I still feel like those hearts are directed at Liverpool. You're not playing for them at the minute. You're still at us, so you've got to work to get in the team and do what you can. I wouldn't be pouring my heart out to Liverpool too much. They were happy to let you go, pal. So yeah, but I do think that could be an opportunity for him. I hope so. Anyway, I'd really like to see him get going in a Villa shirt. So probably a few changes, not quite as many as we probably saw for Go Ahead Eagles, because I do think Villa need to win the game. I think we will win the game. So yeah, again, I would say I want to say I'm looking forward to it, but with all the crap going on around it and idiots like that Yakub or whatever his name is, trying to make it all about him, not so much. But yeah, fingers crossed we can focus on matters on the field and bring it on. Let's climb that Europa League table and then look forward to Bournemouth on Sunday. So it's going to be another big week for Aston Villa. Hopefully 2 home victories at Villa Park, home comforts. Yeah, bring it on, and get back to winning ways, because I still feel there's a little bit of an overreaction from some of the fans. All of a sudden, I'm looking through tweets sometimes, it's like all of a sudden everyone's not good enough again, and so should go, and so is not good enough. Just like, calm down. We'd won 6 out of 7. We've gone to a team that, yes, they're on poor form, but are the champions last season. It's never going to be easy. So, just take stock a little bit after such a poor start to the season. Villa have turned it around big time. So let's hope that continues before the international break and we start another winning run and start with 2 wins this week. So, yeah, fingers crossed. But as always, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you've made it this far. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, we will end it with a big up the Villa.